Hello people. So I'm doing a solo run here today. Figured I'd sometimes talk about things in this podcast as well, not always have guests over, which though there will be new guests upcoming very soon. Back to today's topic, however, I thought I'd voice my opinion on the Mega Man communities and what I think about them. So way before I started doing the Nico Evaluate series, I had a bright outlook on the fact that there could exist these Mega Man communities where you could discuss the games and your opinions about them, and maybe share something else in between. This was before Discord existed, way before, and I was still using IRC. At that point I wasn't really looking into any specific communities. I never really felt like I needed to be a part of anything like that. It was much easier to control my activities when I didn't have a bunch of communities to look into or look for and be part of. I feel like the more communities you are in, the less time you actually get to think for yourself. You become one of the sheep, and now you're in the herd. And what that means is you'll slowly start to lose who you are. There will be these trends where something specific is discussed, and if you don't agree, oftentimes what happens is that you are now the lesser being in the other people's eyes. Being part of a community requires a set of prerequisites that if you don't fill those, you're going to have a harder time. And one of those is having enough free time to even be a bigger part of said community. Depending on how many communities you are in, the more time is required throughout your day to manage and keep up with those communities. The other thing that I can say that is required is the passion for whatever the topic is in the community, in this case Mega Man, that you are so passionate about the game that you really want to converse and exchange ideas and opinions on the games with other people, people in quotes. Because if you really think about it, would you, as a 40-year-old, go chat about Mega Man with a 12-year-old? Probably not, but yet that is what happens daily on the internet. And even a 10-year gap between people who are chatting, it is a really big difference, and it will reflect on how things go. So my personal problem always came from the fact that I used to play Mega Man when I was a really small kid, like when it was the topmost thing on top of my mind. NES, when I was a kid, when I was 4, 5, 6 and 7. That was all that I cared about, was NES and the games. That was quite a long time ago. That was in the late 80s, early 90s. And I still keep thinking that the 90s were 10 years ago. But no, not quite. And the thing is that Mega Man became popular amongst the new generations later on in the 2000s, early 2000s, late 2000s even, 2008, 2009. People are still finding Mega Man to this day. And these people are very young, who were not there when Mega Man was first released. That's fine though, it's fine to find something like that you find joy in. You can share your opinions on it and such. At my age, I can tell you that not many people who grew up with these games are still active. So what that, of course some still are, but what that means is that the age group that still talks about Mega Man is in their teens or maybe even younger. So what that means is that for me to discuss something that I like with someone who's more than 25 years younger than me is just not happening. There's no way. And from what I've seen in these communities, they are being run by very, very young people. Most of them. And what happens there is that they're gonna cater the younger audience. They're gonna cater the younger community to join theirs. So what you have is a lot of communities who are being run by and who are being joined by are these young people. People who have barely done anything else in their lives but play video games so far. They don't know what taxes are. They don't know how to upkeep a house, how to save money. They have no idea. All they care about is what they do daily, which is play video games. Mainly Mega Man. And what happens in a situation like that? You're gonna have heated arguments about video games. Heated arguments about other people's opinions. And when you have nothing else but these games, you're gonna get upset really fast because somebody else has a different opinion on yours. And because this is all you care about, oh boy, they're gonna get it. The more things you have on your plate, the less you care about the individual things. But if your plate consists of this one thing, yeah, you're gonna get really riled up when somebody else has a differentiating opinion. And that is basically the reason why I am not a part of any communities, apart from the Snupster's Discord. And the only way that works is to have similar-minded people, and preferably in the same age group. That's the only way that can work. We don't need to do a lot of research to find out that a lot of these Mega Man communities are extremely hostile. You see things there that you would never see in real life. And whenever there's a new trend, people jump on it. Doesn't matter what their actual opinion is, their opinion will get distorted on the way, and they will jump the herd mindset, in which case most of the people share the same opinion, and if somebody disagrees, that's not good according to them. Of course, this is a generalization of the communities, but it's rather true. And what do you gain by being a part of these communities? Well, the older you are, the less you gain, because you have to realize that no amount of arguing over your own Mega Man opinions with somebody else will grant you anything else but negativity to your day. You can't change people's opinions by brute force, and why the fuck would you need to? If you expect that you can go to a Mega Man community and tell them your opinions on Mega Man 3, for example, you say it's bad, you give your own opinion on it, you give this a small review, and you're like, what do you think? Do you agree on what I just said? If you expect that the people are gonna put on their top hats, take a sip of their whiskey and have an intellectual conversation with you about it, that's not something you can expect. Most likely what is gonna happen is that you'll get personally attacked for being different. And oftentimes what you'll find in these communities is a bunch of people who have these mental issues where for some reason they think that pleasing everyone publicly is what they should be doing, and yet backstage they will throw their knife with their signature into the person's back who they were just exchanging pleasantries to, or generally in the public channels. A lot of people are two-faced, and that is something you'll find quite a lot in these communities. My advice would be to trust no one. The person you are talking to daily might be talking to you differently than they are talking to somebody else. They are out there just to get information out of you, and then they will feel like their life has been fulfilled because they found out something about you that nobody else does, and then they can call you out on it later, or backstab you if they want to. That is what they do daily, and that is a form of life that I'm not too fond of. I have encountered this back when I was in a few servers to kind of get a feel to how these things work. I've been witnessing this firsthand, and if your intent is to go to somebody's Discord server who's developing a new fan game for Mega Man, for example, and you think that simply giving them advice or reporting bugs is easy and fun, and you feel like you're now part of the development, even if it's in a really small role, or you feel like you're contributing something to the people who are making the game, in most cases you are wrong. These people don't give a damn of what you think, and any criticism, any kind of bug reports are looked down on, because they feel like they are being personally attacked because of their low self-esteem. Of course, there exists a plethora of good developers who understand the importance of criticism, but in most cases they will get really riled up. They will get really mad that you found something that should be fixed, and they will call you out for it, hating you forever for it. So it is best that you understand what you're going into before you do so. The communities can be really hostile, and in most cases I've seen that the people who are running these communities don't really care. They are of this free mind where anything and everything goes, there's no moderation. And that's where the Snupster Discord is different. We monitor things very closely. It's one mistake and you're out. And what I find hilarious is that people in these communities think that if a person is not in the channel, well, you can just backstab them. You can talk about them however you like. Yet they don't understand that this information is really easy to find. It's on the internet. In some cases we've had people who are in the Snupster Discord and as well in other Discords, and they happen to slip up something really sensitive, or they happen to backstab people behind their backs in other servers, thinking that, well, nobody's gonna see that. Well, a lot of people share servers, so it's kinda, I don't know where that mindset comes from, but kinda easy to figure out at that point that, okay, so they have another role in this server than they have in another one, so they can just be playing different roles in different servers and, well, you're out. It's a problem with a lot of communities. I feel like you can't trust anyone. Everyone has their own issues. Some people can have mental issues. Some people feel like they need to boss everyone around. It's really complicated, and being a part of these communities can easily ruin your day. So if you feel like I'm wasting a lot of time in these communities, maybe cut back down on them. Maybe leave some of them and see how good you feel. Because essentially all the communities is nothing but a waste of time. It's nothing else. How many times have you felt like, well, I actually, being in this community, I've benefited from it? I can't think of many instances where I can say that I have actually gotten a benefit from being in a community. That's really rare. Unless it is something like fixing a car or something where you share your issues with other people and they try and help you. That is something that I can get behind. Fixing a problem in a vehicle and sharing your issue with somebody else, or even using the search function, can be really useful. But being in a community where the goal is not to become a better person, but the goal is to try and enjoy a video game franchise together, that is a different story. I don't think any self-respecting person should be a part of more than maybe one community, because it'll get out of hand pretty fast. And like I said, a lot of people who are in these communities, they have nothing else in their lives. They're playing these games and they're chatting away in Discord, because that's all they can do. They're going through school or something else, they get home and that's their whole life after. So I can understand how something like that, and considering the age gap, is something that I just can't bear to look at. I can't bear to be part of that. There's no benefit for me being in those communities, and I'm pretty sure I have no benefit to others being there either, so it goes both ways. And in some cases even I've seen people who have these very complex ideologies of how their server should be run. Some of these communities remind me of those buy and sell groups in Facebook. It's not different from those. The people who run them only run them because they want to feel superior to other people. They want to feel like they're in control. They make all these elaborate rules, and then they closely watch each member abide by those rules, and if they don't, they're gonna cuss at them, they're gonna personally attack them, because that is what makes them feel good. So the same thing happens in these Mega Man communities who are being run by these same-minded people, and that is really common as well. So you just have to ask yourself, are you worth it? Do you really deserve this treatment, is what you should be asking yourself. To paint the best picture of yourself, you should either like everything or have a neutral opinion, because that way nobody can say anything about your opinions, and everyone will think that, hey, you're an okay guy, you have no opinions, you're neutral to everything. And that's why a lot of YouTubers are doing that as well. a lot of Mega Man channels as well as other channels on YouTube, they concentrate on making neutral impact on everything. They don't want to say that something is bad, they don't want to say that anything is good, because they don't want the herd up their ass. They don't want that these Mega Man communities go after them, disliking their videos and causing havoc just because of their opinion. So that is a really smart way to do things. If you feel like you don't need to be yourself, if you just want to make content and get views and likes, be sure to be neutral, because that way you'll get in no trouble. But also, that kind of content to me is worthless. It doesn't benefit anyone, and that's why I'm making my content how I like. It just requires that you don't get upset by these comments and these people. And at this point, after a few years of doing this, I've burned the bridges to pretty much every community there is. Most of them have in some way disliked the way I have done things. And they have essentially showcased their true colors. A lot of people that I talked with, a lot of people that I conversed with were two-faced. They talked to me in a certain way, and then when my back turned, well, their true colors came to be. A lot of the problems also stem from the communities where somebody doesn't quite understand what has been talked. A rumor spreads, then the rumor becomes the truth along the way, and then people start spreading it as the truth. That is something that a lot of teenagers and young adults do, because they don't yet grasp how impactful that can be. And so it's just easy to jump on the bandwagon, spread the truth, which originally was a rumor, which wasn't even true. But it is now the truth, and now people are really mad. That is also something you should keep in mind if you're part of communities and you converse in them. That is something that can happen to you. I held a poll about a month ago asking how many of you, of my followers here in YouTube, are a part of a community. 4% said that they are in a lot of communities, 23% said in a few, 16% said that just one, and 6% said that they used to, and 52% said that they are a lone wolf. And I am in that 52%. I'm not in any communities apart from the Snupster Discord, which I don't talk in very often for the reasons that I explained, but that I find is the easiest method to keep myself sane. And the amount of work and other responsibilities I have throughout the day, I really don't have the time to even be part of these communities. It is a lot easier for me to just not converse with people in that way. I just like making videos. If you don't like them, you don't like them. If you like them, well, that's good. Times have also changed where the politeness and really the respect to one another that we had before the 2000s has really vanished altogether. We are in the age of Twitter, Facebook, whatever else there is. I'm not really following any of those, but to give you an idea that a lot of these people are also in the Mega Man community, and you will get the same kind of reaction that you will get in those social media sites from the same people. Essentially, most of the younger people in these communities are there just to shove their own opinions on others, and then when they don't agree, they'll get riled up. Usually the best things they can come up with is this nonsense of over-exaggerating somebody else's opinions and calling them out on it with some hateful words, and using the information they have to make fun of the individuals. That is a hobby to them almost, and they get a kick from that. And oftentimes when people say, well, I've had no problems with these communities, well, look at your own way of writing to others. Look at your own behavior. Maybe you are part of the problem. I'm not saying that you are, but there's a big chance. If you see nothing wrong in these communities, maybe you're part of the problem. Or you've completely avoided all trauma. You've completely avoided everything by maybe not even writing anything back. Maybe you're a lurker. Maybe you just never write anything. Then that's the way you have this perfect picture of these communities. But the fact of the matter is that when you put 500 people, 5,000 people, 50,000 people in the same room talk, you're gonna have some issues. As something as important as Mega Man is and has been throughout my life, which is also an exaggeration, because I have a lot of things in my life that I'm grateful for, but Mega Man was a big thing when I grew up, and I'd like to keep it as something for myself. I don't want to spread my own fondness of the game series to people who I don't think deserve to understand it. They don't really deserve to be a part of that. But if you enjoy the videos I make on YouTube and you like to follow me, all the respect to you. I feel like you're in the right place. If you find the videos insulting, you find them obnoxious, and you go in these communities and write hateful things about them, all the power to you. Just know that I don't give a shit. You have fun in your little group. If that makes you feel better, I'm all for it. Just know that at some point, you'll wake up from your slumber and you realize, is this what I wasted my time on? And yep, yes it is. Because I've been there. I was a part of a few communities when I was a teenager, mainly Monster Truck Madness 2, and I, believe it or not, used to play Counter-Strike. So those are the things that I used to do when I was a kid, and to tell you the truth, I don't remember being an asshole when I was a teenager. I don't remember being the same kind of person that I see people being nowadays. Maybe I'm just blind to it, but I can't recall. I always felt like I never belonged in any group. I always felt like I was like 10 years older, even though I was the same age as the others. I always felt like I never belonged. And that's probably part of the reason why even nowadays, I don't feel like being a part of any community, because I can't synchronize with anyone. So we're so different. I guess what the point of this conversation has been that you should respect yourself. If you feel like you're wasting your time, if you feel like you're constantly bumping into people, if you feel like you're not being respected, just leave. You're not worth the communities. I'm not saying that they're all the same, but I'm saying that they're almost all the same. There are a few good communities out there, and if you can find one that suits yourself, go ahead. But just know that you should respect yourself more. And we've seen these things on my channel with a few communities already that couldn't handle any criticism. What they offered in return was getting personal. That is what they do when they don't know what to do. That is exactly the reaction that you'll get. And it is better to burn those bridges than try and work with them, because working with them at that point is impossible and a waste of fucking time. I hope you learned something. I'll catch you next time.